Taylor Swift has done it again with the Tortured Poets department. A perfect mix of storytelling of folklore mixed in with the sad songs of Red, like Sad, Beautiful, Tragic, Treacherous, All Too Well, on top of the production value of 1989. It really makes for a great experience. Now, I don't know what the rules are for anthology albums and surprise second releases, but this album has to be a contender for next year's Album of the Year at the Grammys. We really are spoiled with all these Taylor Swift releases. She has no idea, but every time we hear an album like this, it always leaves me wanting more. I'm telling you, this is such an experience. I had an amazing time taking it all in the Dolby Atmos home theater. I can't wait for you guys to listen to this and experience it the way it was produced. So let's dig into TTPD 1 month later. For the purpose of this review, I listened to the album on Apple Music, on my desktop, in my car on a road trip, and finally in my full Dolby Atmos home theater. For those of you new to Dolby Atmos, it is the audio setup in which you experience spatial audio from all around you, including speakers behind you, above you in the ceiling, and all around you. This album really takes advantage of the technology, so kudos to Jack Antonoff and the production team for this one. As far as Atmos goes, there is initial active mix on the first few songs, as well as throughout the album, with the use of sustain and synth drops. And as a side note, I feel like most of the reviewers only listened to these first two songs before they did their reviews. After the album dropped, I even saw some folks redact their initial hate. This was based off of the headlines that I saw that only contained the first few songs mentioned. For example, Taylor having a drinking problem in Fortnite, or the mention of Charlie Puth on Tortured Poets Department, which is the second track. This album is a lot to digest. That's why I gave it a full month and a rainy day to write this review. You have songs like My Boy Only Breaks His Favorite Toys, which carry double meaning in life and relationships, and possibly the first time Taylor has written a song in the view of an inanimate object. If you want to experience what Dolby Atmos sounds like on a Taylor Swift song, go into a stereo store like a Best Buy or Magnolia and ask them to play Down Bad for you. You can literally hear alien abductions, space sounds everywhere, coming from the ceiling, coming from behind you. And there's also a clever songwriting angle here, which apparently makes for a visually stunning show. If you've seen the Paris images, you can see the spaceship, the lights beaming down from her, being abducted. Very silly, but also double meanings, deep meanings. And again, incorporating this into the live show, really, really fun. These songs are written in a way where you could present it to a non-Taylor Swift fan, and they could explain to you in detail what's going on with each relationship, minus the exact timelines that some of the Swifties have already figured out, almost to the day. When the album came out, they figured out day, time of day, who this was about, where they were, and there are very distinct details here. Like in the song The Black Dog, which is a bar/restaurant, and mentions of tracking an ex. One of my favorite songs on the album, by the way, is Black Dog. And the detail of heartbreak and conflict remind me of songs like Back to December, or All Too Well, the 10-minute version, where you know exactly what's going on, even if you aren't up to speed with her private life. Some of the storytelling in this album really lets you close your eyes, and you could kind of picture where she was, who she was with, and what was going on, because she's painting such a good picture in these songs. And it's a skill that very few people have, but she does it best, because you kind of picture like the paparazzi photos, the photos of her, but as she's explaining what really went on and what's going on and what's real and what's not real, you have that image in your head, and that's kudos to her. One of the more interesting songs that I thought was But Daddy I Love Him. This is a song that's clearly going right at the fans and in a glorious way. It doubles as a cute teen love story, but she's definitely hanging out on Reddit. At times she's taking some posts word for word, especially with the Matt Healy stuff when they found out some things that he said on previous podcasts about people. She's taking these word for word. You guys all wanted to be seen and heard by Taylor Swift? Well, be careful what you wish for, because that bridge was for you. And again, from what I'm hearing, it makes for a great live show. Also on this album, you have beautifully produced songs like Florida, which is one of the most active on Dolby Atmos. When Florence Welch is singing her lines, there's different tones and keys and pitches of her voice that are coming out of all of the speakers, but in alternating heights. So you'll hear it from the ceiling, you'll hear it from the back, you'll hear it from the left, you'll hear it from the right, but different tones in how she's singing, which is really the layers on top of the production value. So again, kudos to them. We also get treated to songs like Guilty as Sin, which is one of the more edgy songs about thoughts in your head that you don't even have to act on. This poses the question, is that cheating? Comment below if you think so. There is a question mark at the end of the song title, and that's for a reason. Is she guilty? Is she not? That's up to you. Who's Afraid of Little Ol' Me is an immediate anthem alongside I Could Do It With a Broken Heart. I knew they were going to make the set list as soon as I heard them. If the latter is remixed during summer, we have a massive single on our hands. It would be the perfect makeup for dropping the ball with Cruel Summer many years ago. The production quality here on this album is so clear and precise that on songs like I Could Fix 'Em, you can hear the screeching of either Taylor Swift or Jack Antonoff's hand sliding up and down the guitar neck. And if you're a musician, you know exactly what that sounds like. Comes across really clear here. Now, when it comes to a song like Clara Bow, I'm sticking with the thought of it being a nod to Taylor cameoing as the Dazzler in Deadpool and Wolverine. This isn't an original prediction, but it definitely has gained some steam since the album release. I personally think the deal was done when we saw Shawn Levy in the box with Hugh, Taylor, and Ryan many months ago. Are there skips on this album? Maybe. But this is a mood album. You put it on a rainy day like today, or when you're dealing with a breakup, or in your breakup mood just to experience one. It's a vibe. There's great storytelling with obvious songs directed at people like Thank You Amy or Smallest Man in the World That Ever Lived. Oddly enough, we get more Peter Pan references that do double as good relationship/friendship stories. And then you get a song like Robin that mentions a tiger, so is this about Christopher Robin, Winnie the Pooh, or is it about a sick, real, or fictitious child? For this one, we may never know, and sometimes not knowing makes for easier listening. With the Eras Tour back in full swing, and Reputation and the debut album re-releasing coming, who knows when we may get more new Taylor music. Even though time flies with all these releases, hey, Midnights was released in 2022 already, which is crazy. This album and the anthology were truly a treat. Really is crazy what she's accomplished with this release, this decade, and this career. Music industry, try and come for her job.